And we're back, part two. You know how we do. Yes, so he's trying to make sense of what's to come, and no matter how much Haley is like sweetening the pot by saying like they offered me 5, but I rejected it, and he was like, good, but huh? Like $5 million and you walk away? She's like, because I want 10, and she thinks it'll justify selling the pink, that the pink could just be recreated somewhere else. And he's thinking about the possibility of losing his mother. He's thinking about the establishment and its for his historical value, for its nostalgic value, for its family values, and then not to mention that yeah, he has created uh, a venue for girls to find their way, or rather she, I should call her she. Um, but nonetheless, like, he knows that a lot of people have branched out from the pink, like Keyshawn and Mercedes, and they essentially graduated, which is a big term that they use towards the end, but we'll get there. So he's thinking about all that and the memories that they've created there, and Haley just being an outsider and not really and is objective to the circumstance, so she's just an outsider looking on in, and she's not a person that necessarily forms attachments, but we'll get into that also later. This episode also embarks on Mercedes and Terica, because where we left off uh, with my last review, Terica came, hysterical, crying to her mother with a pregnancy test that read positive. And now she's been hiding out. Ran from Shell, which is her, you know, stepmama, raising her, and went running to Mercedes because she's at a loss. She doesn't know what to do. She's 14. In the show, she's 14 years old and has already gotten knocked up. And although they're having this fun mommy and me moment, which we saw in season 1, that's all that she wanted, was to spend time with her daughter. She got it, but not the way she thought. She keeps insisting, like, what are you going to do? And it's pretty clear that she's relatively far along, because her pants aren't fitting her like they used to. So she keeps insisting, what you going to do? So somehow she's able to kind of convince her, like, let's just go and get TCBY. Which side note, I didn't even know TCBY, this is no shade, was still up and running, because it's been a while for me here in New York. They used to be a TCBY like in Midtown and just disappeared one day. So I was surprised that they're still up and running. But anyway, so they get on the road and Mercedes yellow Corvette, and they're talking. They're having a heart to heart. But Terica is smart, and she realizes, like, we're not going to get TCBY. Like, why can't we? She sees it. Like, aren't we getting off here? As Mercedes is still driving, and she's like, we're going to go to Jackson. She's like, we got to go an hour from where we live to have ice cream. And she pieces it together that, in a way, she kind of Mercedes ambushed Terica about getting information, but she just wants her to know. Because, it just tells you this child doesn't even know how far along she is. So there's issues there. And so she wants to run from the car, but she's like, we should at least find out how far along you are and what our options are. So she's still like, so you think I should have it? Because she mentioned something about prenatal vitamins, and she's like, I didn't say that. She's like, so I shouldn't have it? It's like, I didn't say that either. And it's hard because she wasn't even given an option, regardless of her mother's checkered past, and we'll also get into that. She made Mercedes have Terica. So, fast forward to the little murder, still processing grief. The way he showed up at Uncle Clifford's porch, you can see he was distraught, going through the loss of Teak and having committed, what he did to himself. I don't want to use the word, but He's in a depressive state, and but he wants to grieve, but finds it hard to grieve because now our grandmother, Ernestine, is not doing all that well. She's coughing hard. She has the sweats, the night sweats or day sweats. Um, and so he's taking care of her while Clifford is out handling business, and well, she's handling business, and he comes to her aid. Again, become familiar that with Little Murder being a chef, he knows his way around the kitchen, and he, cooks her up this incredible meal, and she didn't lose her sense of smell because she definitely can identify. I think ever since she lost her sight, her other senses grew stronger. And again, everybody got hit differently when it came to COVID. Not everybody had all symptoms. But she's very thrilled that he's there, and can see that there's a connection between him and her grandson. Um, but he takes care of her. He really takes care of her. And he makes sure that, because she also is diabetic, that her blood sugar is normal and stable, and that her fever is controlled and coming down. So, and he fed her. I mean, he was very lovable in this moment, because it's like, you can see his humanity. Even though he's going through grief, really bad grief, he still makes time for Uncle Clifford and his family, which is his beloved grandmother. Now, but he skirts around, like when Uncle Clifford comes back, he skirts around what happened. Like, he's still, like, because he hasn't given details other than the fact that he showed up all bloodied. Then he gets a call from Wody. Come on, Wody was the MVP of this season. I think he always stood out because he has that very white baritone voice. God bless you. But he got the best lines this season, and how he champions Little Murder, LaMarcus, and he was just, oh my God, he's that best friend. That's that best friend you want. And yes, played by Bertram Williams Jr. Wody. Yeah, Wody was, you just want that best friend. He took care of Little Murder. He took care of the circumstance. And that they get into some kind of heated conversation because they know what happened with Rome. But he was like, and then this is what got me, because he called Little Murder to come in because he is fixing, remember, he works at a funeral home, so he's fixing Tariq's, body, and it made him look like nothing had happened, or he hadn't self-inflicted his wound. And he just makes this one comment to Little Murder, is like, oh, so why me? And he's like, why not you? Why, if you can be one of the few that get out of here, why not? And it's like, oh, I swear there was so many great moments here that you just, oh my God, you wanted a champion, you wanted Wody to be your friend. And Keyshawn also did a great job too, because how she really kept his secret, kept his privacy private. These are the type of people you want in your corner. They're not vindictive or anything like that. They understand you. So there's that. And then we get back to Mercedes, and there's an instance where Terica goes to the restroom in a diner, and she tells her, like, like a typical mom, don't sit, squat. And I can't tell you how many times my own mother mentioned that. So that had a very, like, it clicked and resonates with the viewer. But there's an instance where she sees in a window where a mother and daughter are having a fight, and it brings her back to a memory where she found herself in the same position with Miss Bishop Woodbine, her mother, her running as a mayor mother, who stole her money for her gym mama. So this woman's had a checkered past with her own daughter, and you could see it was a very tumultuous relationship between mother and daughter. And kind of in a way, like, I don't understand how is it that she was kind of okay with pimping her own daughter out just when she couldn't make ends meet, but then gets incredibly infuriated when she and furious when she sees a condom in her daughter's wallet because she had money. She had money. She had been seeing a much older man who would eventually be Terica's father, who fathered, you know, provided his specimens so that she can have Terica Cortez. And when she sees the condom, she flips out. But like half a second before she even flips out, there was a man that was looking at her, and she was kind of like, "Do what you do." What do you mean, do what you do? And then when you see the condom, you act all surprised and righteous and beats the living crap out of Mercedes. So there's an instance where they're back on the road, and she was digging for more information, Mercedes, and wants to know more about the boy that got her daughter pregnant. And she's like, he's an artist and all this, and you know, typical teeny bopper way of thinking that they have it solved, and you know, he'll get a part-time job. Mind you, they're both 14. They're not even like near legal age. And she's like, you know, you need to take this into consideration that you might have to terminate this pregnancy because your hips are not even developed. And it's so funny that this coincides with just as we just had the worst overturning in the world with Roe versus Wade, and the possibility of all women's productive rights being in jeopardy. Thankfully, it depends on the state, but not every state. So just the fact that this show was shot 1 year prior, it just tells you how these topics at hand are very relevant to current societal issues and how it affects women of color in particular. When you have no access to like real health care, and especially in a circumstance like that where a child hasn't fully developed her body, you can even risk your own life in the middle of childbirth because your body hasn't developed that way. You can get pregnant, but that doesn't mean there's a guarantee that you will give birth okay. And then again, it tells you also how people can influence others, and how she was hearing that if she aborts, she can get cancer. Look at all these conspiracy theories, crazy information that just is out there by conservatives pushing that agenda. And they're met with that too. When they get to the actual clinic, they are met with all these pro-life, you know, wackadoodles out there with their with their banners and intimidating them to not go in. And they had already had a fight prior because she got fresh and sassy, and she forgot who